Hi everybody and welcome to Castle Ravenloft Daylight Assault Part 2. Alissa the Human Ranger, Arjhan the Fighter, and Emerald the Wizard have entered Castle Ravenloft to search for treasure items. Everything seemed under control, but suddenly a chain of events turned things around. It was sunset, and both Alissa and Emerald lost all their hit points. The three heroes must collect 12 treasure items, and at the moment they have collected 10. So they still need to find 2 to complete this adventure. We have 2 healing surges that will restore not all but some of the lost hit points, and we are forced to use both of them in our next round. So we'll begin with Alissa. She will restore 4 hit points, which is not a lot, considering what she's already been through. But she will move and get away from the blazing skeleton. And from this position, she can use her daily power split the tree against the other blazing skeleton. But what a miss. A daily power, and she also has to move the blazing skeleton 1 tile closer. What a shame. She also has to face an encounter. Strahd's trick. That means Alissa will be placed on the same tile as the blazing skeleton. It was in a safe distance just a while ago. Now she is very close to it. With 2 identical monsters in play, they will both activate, even though this is the only one under Alissa's control. So it will move closer, and this one will fire a fireball against Alissa. And with a roll of 16, this blazing skeleton sure is on target. But Alissa will use her unbalancing parry utility power, and that one cannot be used anymore. And then she will use it to block the attack and move the blazing skeleton 1 tile away. And on that tile, Arjhan waits. And he will use his precise strike, because the blazing skeleton has 2 hit points. And with a roll of 5 plus 11, that's more than enough to beat the armor class. And the blazing skeleton, one of them at least, is destroyed. That will give 2 experience to the experience pile. I think we'll use that soon enough. But first, a treasure card. And that fortune will enable us to move 1 monster away from its tile. And the only monster in play at the moment is the blazing skeleton here, so it will move back even further away. But the sun is set, and we will have to draw an encounter card as well. And Strahd's whisper this time. And that means Arjhan suddenly goes crazy. He moves next to Alissa because she is the closest hero and attacks with 1 at-will power. And we will choose Cleave because he has the least chance to hit with that one, but Arjhan is on target, unfortunately, and he will hit Alissa. She will lose 1 hit point, and then he is back to his own well-known self. Now Emerald will have to use the final healing surge, and that will give him only 3 hit points. And he will move and explore a new tile. And even though it's a tile with a white triangle, we still have to draw an encounter. But a monster first. Let's cross our fingers for rats or bats or something like that. And of course, it's a wraith. One of the worst enemies lurking in Castle Ravenloft appears at the worst possible time. And with an attack doing 3 points of damage, it will kill Emerald, and it will all be over if it hits. But first, we will have to face an ambush attack. Emerald will be attacked, and there will be a new monster on his tile. We simply cannot allow that at this moment in the dungeons. So we'll collect 5 experience points and cancel that encounter. So now it's up to the Wraith. It will move adjacent to Emerald and attack with a +6 attack. Emerald, come on. And it's a roll of 6. That's 12. Not enough to beat Emerald's armor class, but we have to remember the Haunted Mists will give +2 bonus to undead monsters attack roll. And now it's 14, and that is just enough to hit Emerald. But he has the utility power Shield, his final chance of survival. He will play that card, he will resist the attack, and he will even have a +2 armor class bonus for 1 round. It's not over yet. Alissa moves in, and she has another attack. Hit and run will do 2 points of damage. That will kill the Wraith. It's a +6 attack. Alissa has the chance now. Oh my god. I can't believe it. A roll of 2. Of course, she fails. She will be able to position herself anywhere on the tile, so she moves to the edge here, and she will explore. It's another white triangle, but still we have to have an encounter. We also have a monster waiting, and it's a wolf. Yeah, of course we have to deal with a wolf too. And on top of the wolf, an encounter. All heroes must activate their monsters. That would be the end of this hero party if that was supposed to happen. We have to cancel that encounter as well. We are really using our experience points at the moment, but we have 5, and that will cancel that encounter. Now the wolf will move in and attack with a +7 pounds against Alissa. It's a 1 point of damage attack, but it will slow her if it hits. +7. And it's a 12. Of course, 19, more than enough. Alissa will lose 1 hit point, and she will also be slowed. And at the other end of the dungeon, the Blazing Skeleton here will move 1 tile closer to the heroes. Now Arjhan is in play, and he moves adjacent to the Wraith. And he will use his popular Trapping Strike to hit it, and he is on target. The attack takes 1 out of the 2 hit points the Wraith has, and then we have an encounter because he didn't explore. And it's a treasure chest, and there could be treasures, there could also be traps. We'll roll. And it looks good. At 20, that means we will have to draw a treasure card and avoid any unpleasant traps. And it's the Glyph of Warding, an item. We now only need 1 more item. Now Emerald will attack the Wraith with his magic missile. He was the one who summoned the Wraith, so to speak. Now he will get rid of it. It's a +8 attack, and he rolls an 18, more than enough to blast the Wraith back to the pits of hell or wherever it comes from. And it will give us 3 experience points. Not bad. And a treasure card, of course. That could have been the final item. Instead, it's a Breath of Life. Well, we'll take that as well. 1 hit point back to Emerald. And he still has his move action, so he moves to the edge of the tile and explores. Another white triangle. But as we know, we will not avoid the encounter. And on that tile is a monster, and it's a ghoul. Yeah, we'll get the ghoul on the tile, and then we will see what kind of encounter we have to face. It's an illusionary trick, and that means Emerald will swap position with the monster that is farthest away, and in this case, it's the Blazing Skeleton. So Emerald will be teleported to the other end of the dungeon, and instead Arjhan will have to enjoy a blazing skeleton. And the ghoul was just about to attack Emerald. Instead, it will only move one tile closer to Arjhan now. Alissa is slowed, but she can still move 2 squares, so she will move here on the edge of the tile. She will use her careful attack, and that will deal 1 point of damage and kill the wolf. So she will have a treasure, come on, the final item. And no, it's a fortune. We have to place a dungeon tile adjacent to any unexplored edge. There will be a monster, but no encounter card. Well, it could be worse. We'll pick one here and put it here. So no encounter, but there will be a monster waiting. And what could that be? A kobold skirmisher. He will be waiting down the corridor here. And of course, move closer. And there we go. 1 kobold. And now the tile. It's a black triangle, it's a monster, it's an encounter. Everything, of course. The monster first. And it's another ghoul. The ghouls might not be the worst enemy, but now we have 2 of them. They will activate both of them. And the encounter is a teleport glyph. So now Alissa will teleport as far away as possible. And she has no monsters on her tile, so it's only her. Yeah, that could be good. Alissa joins Emerald at the other end of the dungeon, but that leaves Arjhan very much alone, surrounded by 2 ghouls and a blazing skeleton. So the first ghoul will activate and move 1 tile closer, but the second one will move adjacent to Arjhan and attack him. It's a +7 attack, and it will hit. A solid hit on Arjhan. He will lose only 1 hit point, but he will be immobilized. So he's not able to move anywhere. He's trapped between 3 monsters. Next up, the Kobold Skirmisher will move 1 tile. He's not able to do any damage, but the Blazing Skeleton is. And it will fire its fireball against Arjhan. And it looks like another solid hit. And that will draw 2 more hit points from Arjhan. He really has to do something now. Otherwise, this adventure is over. So to begin with, he will use his unstoppable power. That will give him, well, the 2 hit points he just lost back. Next up, his trapping strike. So he will draw the skeleton towards his own tile. The trapping strike is +8, but it will not kill the blazing skeleton, only deal 1 point of damage. And it's a roll of 5, it's 13, and it should be enough, because Arjhan also has the Holy Avenger. So 1 point of damage to the skeleton. Now would be a really good time to use Arjhan's Dragon's Breath ability. It does not count as an attack, and it will hit all the monsters on the tile, but it's only +4. Come on. And yes, a roll of 16. So the Dragon's Breath will deal 1 point of damage to the ghoul and the blazing skeleton and destroy both of them. Wow. Just what Arjhan needed. And now he also needs an item. Come on. A treasure. And it's an item. It's the Wand of Teleportation. Yes, that is the final treasure item. Item number 12. So now the heroes, if they are not immobilized, can leave the dungeons. But before we celebrate too much, we must also have an encounter. And it's an event. Cowardly Flight. So we must take a tile from the bottom of the tile stack and put it adjacent to the unexplored edge closest to Arjhan. And on that tile, the monster closest to Arjhan, the ghoul, and a new monster must be placed. Well, so first the tile, then the ghoul, and then we will have to draw a new monster for that tile as well, and it's a wraith. Yeah, of course. Another wraith will appear, and that also means Arjhan will face an attack. So the wraith moves adjacent to Arjhan and will try to hit with the attack here. And of course, a roll of 14, even with Arjhan's armor class. 6 plus 14 is way too much. So he will take no less than 3 points of damage. So at the moment, Alissa is down to 2 hit points, Arjhan to 2, and Emerald 4. This is going to be close. But at the end here of Arjhan's turn, he's no longer immobilized. Emerald will activate next, and he will use double movement to get to the start tile. But it's too early to leave the dungeons just yet. And he will have to draw an encounter since he didn't explore. So we get Neglected Passage. And again, we should place a dungeon tile, but this time closest to the start tile. And we are not going to do that. No monsters near the start tile. So we'll use 5 experience points to cancel that encounter. But we cannot cancel the ghoul's movement and attack. So the ghoul will move in and attack Arjhan. And the damage is not the problem here. The problem is he will be immobilized and unable to escape if the ghoul hits. And it's a miss. Only 13. Arjhan will not be hit. He will not be immobilized. Whew. And that could be the hero's way out of the dungeons. Now Alissa will activate and she will move to the start tile. And when a hero is on the start tile at the end of a hero phase, they can leave and not come back. So Alissa is out of here, leaving Arjhan and Emerald in the dungeon still. And next up, the Kobold Skirmisher will move 1 tile closer, still out of reach. And now it's Arjhan. He's not going to fight or do anything. He's just going to move to the start tile and follow Alissa to safety and daylight. And the wraith will activate and in desperation try to chase Arjhan, but it's no use. And then Emerald, as the final hero, can take the stairs into fresh air. And together they have 12 items. Well, let's count them just to be sure. And precisely 12 items, the goal of this adventure. So once again, Arjhan and Alissa had a successful quest into the dungeons below Castle Ravenloft, and this time with good help from Emerald. They will now rest in the nearby village, plotting new adventures to finally bring an end to Count Strahd's reign of terror. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you'll join me for future adventures.